Welcome, everybody. Great to see you all. This is the Kripalu School of Mindful Outdoor Leadership info session. My name is Micah Mortali. I'm the founder and director of the Kripalu School of Mindful Outdoor Leadership, and it's very nice to be with you all today. The plan for this call is to give a brief overview of the school and what it's all about, and then take some questions and open it up for a conversation. Okay, so I have a little PowerPoint and I'm going to share this. And at any point while I'm presenting this, if somebody has a question, please feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to try not to talk for too long at you all, but just give you a little sense of the course. All right, so let me pull up my PowerPoint here. We'll get started. Okay, can everybody see that beautiful rainbow photo there? Okay, cool. So before we start, maybe we can just take a moment and do a quick centering. So go ahead and make yourself comfortable for a moment. And if you feel like closing your eyes, you can certainly do that. And if maybe you're near a window, you might prefer just to look out the window and gaze out at whatever's happening out there. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths here together. So as you're ready, breathing in, and then letting the breath out through the mouth if that's comfortable. Breathing in, just being aware that you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, being aware that you're breathing out. A few times at your own pace, just letting your exhalations be a little bit longer than your inhalations. Just settling into yourself, letting go of your day, giving yourself permission for a few moments to just be a human being rather than a human doing. Allowing yourself to sink into your seat and feel supported and present. I just want to invite you to think for a moment about some of your earliest experiences in the outdoors. Everybody has a place where they first recognized or felt close to the earth. So go ahead and take a few moments and just see what comes to mind. Some of your earliest experiences or memories of feeling close to nature. Allow yourself to breathe with whatever arises with that. Notice what it looks like in those thoughts and memories, how it feels. Maybe there's someone else there with you. Maybe there's a tree or a rock, or maybe it's a beach. You're ready, taking a deep breath in and letting it go. And if you're ready, you can open your eyes. And just want to open it up. If you want to just jot a couple words into the chat, or if somebody would like to share just a few words about what came up for you there with that invitation. Where'd you go? Who were you with? What was it like? Being at summer camp as a kid, right? Thanks, Jackie. I'm seeing a lake there. I don't know if there was a lake, but I'm feeling a lake there. Steph Blake says climbing trees. Oh yeah, nice. I was a big tree climber as a kid too. Love it. Dawn says the backyard on a warm summer day with tall green grass and the hum of planes high in the sky. Love it. Backyard, a warm day, tall grass. Emily says my backyard with my siblings and endless outdoor adventures back there. Love it. And Sierra, my first hike with some family and friends around the Catskills. Beautiful. Gardening with my dad, Jennifer. Sweet. Matt, camping with Scout Troop as a kid. Yep, yep, I did that too. Love it. I love these. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. Most folks, when I ask this question, have memories like you're sharing, and oftentimes who somebody in their life who loves the earth, who shared that love with them at some point. And that's a very powerful thing. It's incredibly powerful because those little memories, those moments are like these radiant jewels that just radiate energy throughout our lives and inspire us oftentimes to be on calls like this or to go on journeys um, like this school is. And we have at this point over 500 folks who've been through the Kripalu School of Mindful Outdoor Leadership. And a lot of what we're up to as guides is facilitating these experiences so that folks 50 years from now on a call like this might be talking about an experience that you led for somebody, and how that changed their life or that set them off on some new path. So thank you. Really appreciate that, those shares. It's really sweet, touching. So this school started back in 2018, and as I said, we've trained over 500 folks who are leading now what we call mindful outdoor experiences, or MOEs is the acronym for the experiences that we train you to lead. And I started working on creating the school 2016, 2017, and was doing a lot of research, read a lot of different books. Richard Louve's book, Last Child in the Woods, was a big influential book that I worked with. Also, Robin Wall Kimmerer's work, Braiding Sweetgrass, and Thich Nhat Hanh, and things like that. And for me, one of the things that catalyzed getting into this work was just seeing the way that technology has become such a central part of people's lives, particularly since the invention of the iPhone back in 2006 or 7. We have seen culturally this really dramatic movement of people indoors and onto screens, right? And I'm sure you've all seen it. Like, we're all impacted by it. We're all guinea pigs in a way with this big experiment of this technology. When I heard the term nature deficit disorder, Richard Louve coined that term, it was like a light bulb went off. It gave me a term to help identify and label this phenomenon that was happening in our society, where people were starting to spend the majority of their waking lives gazing at a flat screen, 18 inches in front of their face for most of their day. And that wasn't the way it was 20 years ago. We would certainly probably, some of us would watch too much TV on a Saturday morning sometimes, watching cartoons, but there weren't a lot of options and it wasn't that exciting. TV was not that really great, so really with this technology, we're seeing an exponential increase in technology use. And with that, people are not forming bonds with place like they did once upon a time. And what we know is that if people aren't bonded to where they live, then they're not going to care for it. They're not going to protect it. So our approach in the school and what it's all about is we want to help people form a meaningful bond with land. And we think our theory is that if people have a deep bond with place, then they're more likely to care for that land. Whereas modern environmental movements have often tried to focus on all the terrible things that will happen if you don't change your behavior. And that doesn't often change behavior. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to work. What works better is if you can facilitate an experience where somebody falls in love with their backyard or with the watershed that they live on. They can fall in love with a bird or a tree, or they can feel deeply bonded to a forest or a field, pasture. That love connection, that bond is going to be a more compelling motivator for caretaking behaviors. So we train folks to lead experiences that are founded and rooted in mindfulness. So we invite people into the present moment, and then we move them through a series of it's similar in some ways to a yoga class, except a lot of the work is about slowing down and breathing and having an opportunity to just be in a place and to sit and to be still and to walk with awareness and to listen, to open our senses and pay attention. So that you can start to bond with the place. And there's a great quote in our field manual that we share by Bill McKibben, where he says, the mountain says you live in a particular place. Even though it's just a square mile or two, it took me many years to learn its secrets. Here there are blueberries, and here there are bigger blueberries. I pass 100 different plants along the trail. I know maybe 20 of them. One could spend a lifetime getting to know a small range of mountains, and once upon a time people did. So, I'll walk you guys through a couple of things here, and then we'll open it up for questions and conversation. Let's see. There's my PowerPoint. Okay. Slideshow from beginning. All right. So that's this is a picture of the land that you'll be on if you come and do the training here at Kripalu. Pretty incredible. We do get some good rainbows here, especially after a thunderstorm in the warmer months. I always like to start and talk about the 7-generation philosophy from the Haudenosaunee people of New York, Western New York. The Haudenosaunee have a practice where if they have to make a decision about the land that will be long-lasting, they hold council and they ponder the effect on folks living 7 generations into the future. And that's about 30 years per generation, so it's about 210 years forward. And that would put us at the year 2235. When we think about our 7th generation, the people who are going to live 7 generations forward of us, we are their ancestors. They are people living in the year 2235. And for us, it would have been folks living around the year 1812. Like we are the 7th generation of people living in that time. The school, we think about, we reflect on this idea of how can we choose to live today in a way that will help to ensure a world that is in good shape for the folks who are going to be here in 210 years. And it's really an open inquiry. Each one of us can reflect on that on our own and notice what comes up for us and what it elicits in us. And that prompt may guide you in some way. The folks who were living on this land 210 years ago were the Stockbridge-Munsee Mohican people. And they are the folks who are indigenous to the land that Kripalu sits on. And their nation was centered on the Hudson River, which once upon a time was called Mahikanatuk, which means waters that are never still. And the Mohican people now have federally recognized tribal lands in Wisconsin. But members of the tribe come back to the Berkshires quite often, more and more. And we have a nice relationship with a member of the tribe whose name is Sean Stevens, who's a longtime friend of Kripalu, who's a part of the faculty for the School of Mindful Outdoor Leadership, and has written some of the material for the field manual, and teaches in our online version of Level 1 and also in Level 2 on property. And hopefully you'll get a chance to meet Sean when you come out. This is our mission here, to call on the spirit, the power of mindfulness, to inspire individuals and human societies into greater partnership with the living earth so future generations can thrive. Kind of all based on this idea of helping to foster a bond between people and place. Nature deficit disorder is definitely a great term for you to be familiar with. And one of the required books for the training is called Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv, I mentioned earlier. And Richard is going to be our keynote speaker at the Rewilding Summit that we're hosting here at Kripalu in November as well. So you might want to check out the website for that, because if you're on this call, you'd probably be interested in what's going to be going on at the Rewilding Summit as well. But he's talking about the human cost of alienation from nature here, like how it affects us as human beings. And so there's three main outcomes that he talks about here, which is a diminished use of the senses, right? We kind of lose our senses. We lose our ability to focus. There's attention difficulties involved, and then higher rates of physical and emotional illnesses. So there's a lot of terms that we review in the school. We try to identify some of the key problems, the key challenges of a nature-divorced society, and look at how we can help to heal those disconnections through our mindful outdoor experiences. And just to review some of the major issues here, and not to depress everybody, but in the late 90s, internet addiction was considered 40 to 80 hours a week. And today, the average American spends almost 80 hours a week looking at a screen. Most Americans spend almost 100% of their waking life, not only their waking life, but their whole life inside of a building. So over 90%. Kids spend most of their day outside of school on media. And kids in the UK spend less time outdoors than prison inmates. So prisoners have to get an hour of fresh air exercise every day. Most children, right, don't get that. I know my kids when they were in public school, they had about a 15-minute recess, right, which is really not adequate for little kids, right? Little kids should be outside playing, I think, most of the day, and then maybe sitting down and, trying to do that stuff like a smaller part of the day. Play is so important, but, and of course, we have this huge explosion of depression, anxiety, and all these mental health issues in our society right now as well. And we saw all those things through COVID and lockdowns and Zoom schooling and all these things. They really went up as people were isolated and on screens even more and more and more, right? So good news though, well, actually I had one more statistic here before I get to the good news. It really is access to nature is a huge issue in our culture as well. And 75% of people of color in the United States live in areas where natural spaces aren't accessible either, which is a real issue because we know from the research that having access to green space is so profoundly beneficial for both physical and mental health. All right, so this is the nature gap, and something that we need to address in our culture big time. So Louv asked, where will the future caretakers come from if humans today are on screens all the time and nobody's going outside? Right? If people don't have a meaningful bond with land, like who's going to take care of the land? And Kimmerer said that she wonders if many of the things that are ailing us in our society, maybe it's just because we've cut ourselves off from the land. Right? She says it's medicine for broken land and empty hearts. And when we look at this through the lens of rewilding, the idea is that as human beings, we're, to a certain degree, we're mammals. And as mammals, we have a natural habitat. And so if you take an animal out of their natural habitat and put it in captivity, where it's an artificial environment, artificial light, artificial food, in confinement, in a square room, of course, any normal animal that was put into that situation would probably not feel good or be happy or be healthy. Right? So as humans, like, we have to recognize that our natural habitat is not in spaces like this. It's outside. Right? So how can we help people today spend more time in their natural habitat and plug into the wood wide web, right, and get off of the world wide web? So there's tons of statistics about how beneficial this work is and why. We have lots of science now to support this work. It's amazing. It's so good because a lot of this science that we have now, we didn't have 20 years ago. We all knew instinctively and intuitively that we felt good when we walked outside in the forest or when we were at the beach barefoot, but we didn't exactly know what was going on in our bodies or in our nervous systems. And now we have a much better idea of what's going on. So, just 120 minutes per week in nature is like the new 10,000 steps, right? If you can get 2 hours a week outdoors, you're going to be physically and emotionally better than if you don't, in pretty significant ways. Doesn't seem like very much though, right? 2 hours a week, that could be broken up in a whole bunch of different ways. But we know that if you don't get that, you're not going to be feeling very good. Okay. Living in close proximity to green space is great for resilience. Kids who have green space, when they're young, when they grow up, they do much, much better mentally, better mental health outcomes. I could go on and on. The forest bathing research that's out there now, just walking in a forest for 40 minutes lowers your stress hormone cortisol, it lowers your heart rate and blood pressure, boosts your immune system, boosts your mood, helps you sleep. And it has nothing to do with exercise. It's actually breathing in the atmosphere of the forest, the essential oil compounds that the trees are putting out, as well as a number of other effects that have to do with light and shadow and movement and sound. Our senses are being reintroduced to an environment that they evolved in. So it feels like coming home. So could go on and on about the benefits, but we'll dive up into this in the training. And I think I'll just close here with just talking a little bit about mindfulness. When I came to Kripalu, actually, as of day after tomorrow will be my 20-year anniversary at Kripalu. So I can't believe it's been 20 years, but I came here 20 years ago and was a volunteer dishwasher back when we had a volunteer program. I spent a lot of time on the mat and practicing yoga. And it was an amazing time to be able to be here and wash dishes. And I was a mindful dishwasher, and a yogi. And I was practicing a lot of mindfulness, while I was washing the dishes, while I was doing my pranayama, my breathing practices, my asana. But what happened was when I would go out on walks after doing so much yoga and so much mindfulness practice, the depth of my awareness at that time, everything felt so alive. Everything felt so vivid. I don't know if you can relate to this, like of coming out of a yoga class or meditating and then going for a walk outside. Your senses are more open, right? Things feel so much more vivid and intense. And I started to realize that if we could help people cultivate mindfulness, it would transform their relationship with nature. And it would allow them to connect with the natural world on a much, much deeper level. And so I started to just experiment on my own with ways to incorporate what I had learned here at Kripalu, meditation practices, mindfulness practices, with walks on the land. And over time, I started to incorporate forest bathing and also ancestral skills and naturalist skills, like, hey, I wonder what kind of bird that is, and tracking, being aware of the animals that are in the area, the tracks in the ground, the scat, the signs, the antler rubs on the trees. And I did some training down with Tom Brown at the Tracker School and started to fold all these things together. And eventually that became the School of Mindful Outdoor Leadership. So we incorporate in the school elements of not only mindfulness and nature meditation, but we do have naturalists from Mass Audubon who come and teach in the school, and we learn about trees and the awareness of trees, bird awareness, how to listen out and how to notice and be more aware of birds and what birds tell us when we're on the land. And we also learn about animal track signs and scat, because all of these naturalist skills, they increase our awareness when we're out. And pretty incredible, really fun. And then we also learn some outdoor skills. Like we teach the students how to birth fire with flint and steel and make a fire so that breathe it into life in the palm of their hand. And we incorporate fire into our mindful outdoor experiences. So when folks come back from a sit spot experience or a nature meditation, we get a little fire going in a little solo stove. We do a share circle around the fire, or we might make tea with the white pine needles or the hemlock needles. So we're drinking in the tea of the forest around a fire as we connect as a community and share. So everybody who goes through the course learns how to lead a mindful outdoor experience. And the training is 9 days long if you do it in person. We do offer it online as well. And so that'll be running in the spring of next year, I think January to March, I think for the online version. But the in-person version is 9 days long, and we are outside for all 9 days. You do sleep in the building, all right? You sleep in the building, you take your meals in the building mostly, but we're outside, rain or shine. We have a base camp up on the hill behind the building. We have a beautiful pavilion and a big solo stove and benches. It's like a camp. And so every session is held up there. We usually have a fire going, so we're sitting around the fire together all day. Most days start at 6:30 in the morning. You walk up, we've got tiki torches lit. We sit around the fire. We begin the day with a fire meditation as a community in silence. And then we send you off into the forest to your sit spot, which is a place that you go each morning, and you sit very still with your eyes open and you observe what's happening around. You come back, you do a little journaling, and then we send you off to breakfast. And then the morning and the afternoon is spent, there'll be some lecture, there'll be some practice. We'll have guest teachers coming in, some of our naturalists from Mass Audubon. We have a specialist come in and talk about the science of nature connection. And then in the afternoons, my co-trainer, Katie, and I will take the group out on mindful outdoor experiences so that you get the experience of what these experiences are like. Most of your evenings are off because it's already a pretty long day. If we start at 6:30 and go till 6, it's almost a 12-hour day. So you have your evenings free to rest and recuperate. And that's level 1 of the course. There is a level 2 version of the training, which I won't get into too much right now. It's very hands-on, and we work on the great elements and how to work with the great elements of Ayurveda, which are space, air, fire, water, and earth, and how to work with those elements as you guide. We get into a lot of skill building in level 2, birthing fire with a bow drill, building shelters. You have some assignments that you work on and you present in level 2. Level 2 is really about building a lot of confidence as an outdoor guide by learning more advanced skills and feeling very much at home in the outdoors, so that you guide from a place of like deep connection and skill. So that's level 1 and level 2. And I think I'm just going to open it up because I'm sure you all probably have some questions. So why don't we just open up? You can raise your hand or you can just come off of mute if you have a question.
Hi, just a quick question. What were the dates again?
Oh, the dates. That's okay. So our next level 1 training is July 11th to the 20th. And then after that, our next one is in September, and it's the 19th to the 28th.
Are there any things you suggest folks do to just prepare themselves before the level 1 class, like mentally, skill-wise?
Great question. Well, first off, I want to say that it might sound really intense, but one thing we don't do is we don't go on a lot of long hikes. Most of the time we spend is very gentle walks. So we are not going for 5, 7, 10 mile hikes every day or anything like that at all. Mostly we're around base camp and we're going on short walking excursions that are less than a mile. Okay, so just want to say that. Um, Now, that said, to prepare for the course, you do just want to make sure that you are, I would just walk, just get outside, try to get out there and just walk and be outdoors as much as you can before the training, because we are out from 6:30 in the morning till 6 at night, not counting meals. It might be raining. We're going to be outside if it's raining. Might be on the colder side. You're going to be exposed to a lot of weather while you're out there. So you just want to make sure you've got layers and appropriate clothing for whatever the season is. And then definitely do read the books as much as you can before you come. We've got a really great reading list for level 1. And all the books that I put on the reading list were integral in creating the program. And they will support you. There's no fluff reading in there. It's all really good stuff that will support your education. So now that said, we don't expect you to have read every single book cover to cover, but as much as you can would be really great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, Lisa.
I'm sorry. How many people are normally in the class at one time?
Yeah, so we just finished a program on Sunday. We had 17 people in the course. That's a little on the smaller side for us. Usually we have around 30 or 40 people in the course. Right now for the July training, we have 18 people registered. So I'm guessing we're going to get into the upper 20s for that one. And in the fall, I'm guessing probably somewhere around 30 or 35. You froze up on us there, Lisa, but let me know if you heard that, if you have any follow-ups.
I did hear. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm on the rooftop at my job having lunch, so the reception is a little sketchy, but I did hear. Thanks a lot.
All right, you're welcome.
Is there like a certification you receive at the end of it?
Yes, there is. This is a this is a certification. It's a training, and so you do have to qualify to get certified. And that's a good question. Let me talk a little bit about that, Sierra. What you're accountable for as a guide in training in the level 1 is to show that you can competently lead a mindful outdoor experience. We do have a mentored mindful outdoor experience process that all the guides go through toward the end of the training, where you'll be broken up into a group of 3 or 4 fellow guides. It's called your animal family. And you and your animal family will lead the 9 steps of an MOE together, and it will be observed and mentored and assessed. And if you meet the minimum criterion, then you'll qualify for certification. You'll get a certificate from the Kripalu School of Mindful Outdoor Experience that says that you completed the program and you're certified by the school to lead an MOE.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. There is no there's no like state or federal or any kind of like larger overseeing body that licenses or anything like that for us. So the certificate is from the school. It's from Kripalu. Yeah, and depending on what state you guide in, some states we do have guides who've gotten a license. Like for instance, in Maine, sometimes to guide, folks need to get a license from the state of Maine, and so they'll go and they'll do that, and then they'll also come here to get the training on how to lead an MOE. So it varies a little bit from place to place.
Hi, Micah.
You're breaking up. I don't know who's trying to talk, but we can't hear you. You're breaking up.
It was Steph, Micah.
So Steph, maybe you can,
She may need to use the chat feature.
yeah, Steph, why don't you try to type
of the Potawatomi, Miami, Lenape. Oh, let me, I'm going to stop my video. No,
Steph, what I want you to do is type your question into the chat, okay? Because we cannot hear what you're saying at all. Okay, and I'll look in the chat and I'll try to answer your question there, all right? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I did. I think
It's still cutting out. So if you can, try to put it into the chat because we're not able to hear you.
She did, Micah, actually. She asked if you could tell her what the difference is between online and on campus.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Morgan. Okay, so the difference between the online and the on-campus program, well, there's a couple obvious ones. So when you do the program on campus, it's an intensive. So it's 9 days from start to finish, and you're on the property, you're hanging out by the fire, you're in person here with us. And because of that, it's a very distinct experience, okay? The online version actually has a lot of benefits that we didn't anticipate when we did it the first few times. The benefits of doing the program online are it's spread out over more time, and it gives you an opportunity to dive deeper into the reading and the material and to slow the process of digesting and integrating the information. So that's great. The other great part about the online program is that you are becoming a lot more intimate with the land that you live on and you're going to be guiding with. And so students who go through the online course, they are able to be with us on this journey and make all of these deep connections with their land, which doesn't happen if you do the program with us here at Kripalu. You get very bonded to the land at Kripalu and to the community, but then you go home and you have to start that process for yourself back home. So there are a lot of really cool benefits to doing the program online. We've done it online at least 6 or 7 times now, and it's been amazing. And we've had some incredible guides come out of the online course, and it works really well. So people always ask, gosh, how do you do this online? We weren't sure. We did it in the fall of 2020 during COVID, not knowing how it was going to go, but it went great. So I hope that's helpful.
As a follow-up to the online the online course, is there certification for that as well?
Yes.
Does it work in a similar way? Is there any?
No, it's the same course. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking through here, see if there's any other questions in the chat. Oh, Sierra's asking, are we able to commute back and forth while staying at Kripalu? Yes, you are. You can, and we have folks who do that. You just want to make sure that wherever you're staying is close to Kripalu, because you have to be there by 6:30 every morning for the training, so you don't want to be too far away. Let's see, question from Matt. When can you apply for the online course? Yeah, that should be, because that's going to begin in, I believe, January of next year. Let me just double check the first weekend for that. Give me 1 second. I'll look up the dates here. Oh, sorry. It's February 27th. Here, I'm going to just drop the dates in the chat for you guys. Okay, so those are the dates. The formatting's a little weird, but the first weekend is the 27th of February, and that program should be built soon, Matt. So you can apply and just say you're applying for the online, and then once it's up, you can go ahead and register. Emily, if you stay off campus and commute in, do you still have access to meals at Kripalu during the program? Yeah, it's called a commuter pass, and you still get meals. You're just not staying at Kripalu. Okay. We have just about 3 minutes before we need to wrap up. Anybody have any other questions? Sierra, I don't know how much the commuter pass is for the 9 days. That would be a question for registrations. I would give them a call and they can answer all those questions for you. Sorry about that. Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, Morgan just dropped the link there.
I'm curious if folks ever take this course for a reason other than trying to become a guide themselves.
A
So
lot
for
of
me,
people,
like I gained
yeah,
confidence and learned better just with that leadership mindset. But I don't know that I would potentially pursue this as like a vocation.
yeah, that's great. We have a lot of folks who just take the course because they feel like it sounds great, like it's something they want to do, that it will facilitate like a transformation for them. They want to feel more confident, more connected outdoors. They want to have a deeper spiritual connection to the land. Yeah, people take those courses for all those reasons. And sometimes they don't guide, and sometimes they do. And some folks who come because they want to guide realize that they don't. They just want to do this as a practice. So it could go in all kinds of directions. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. For if you guys want to follow me and kind of see what it's like, I'm on Instagram at Micah Rewilding, and I post a lot of content there related to the school. You can look at my stories and see video of trainings and all kinds. You can actually get a window in to the training if you want to see. If you go to my stories, I have a KSMOL highlight, and I've got tons of video footage of the training there. If you want to, you can kind of peek in and check it out. We've got lots of content up on the website, and I'm easy to get in touch with. My email is micah@kripalu.org. That's MICAHM @kripalu.org, and you can always email me if you have any questions about it.